Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tinks Invest, where I talk about investing, finance, and professional development for today's citizens only. The investment talk today would be Ethereum ETH. First, I want to say happy Thursday, everybody. Hope you a great week so far. Respect to recording time of 9:52 a.m. on the Eastern time. Ethereum currently trading $3,522, up about 1.50% so far. Respect to overall crypto market is relatively green today, with Bitcoin up about 2%, Dogecoin up about 1%, Cardano's up about 6.5%, and with respect to Solana's up about close to 30% at the moment, attempting to breach the $200 mark at the moment right now. With respect to XRP, up about 2.11% so far. So with respect to Solana, it seems like we have hit the $200 and $150 earlier today and subsequently sell back down slowly to hover back down to more of a normalized level. But normalized level, that's more of a oxymoron at the moment, right? Knowing the fact that we've been surging for a long time right now, ever since the 26th of August, all the way to current days, right? So we've been surging for about a month so far. Right, with respect to MACD is extremely overstretched. Also on the RSI is extremely overbought. We are in Neptune at the moment, or even probably further in the galaxy, if you may. So risk is definitely increasing dramatically. Would I be advising to buy in at the moment? I think I would, for me, I would personally not do so because of the fact that this is just, abnormality straight up. With a lot of whales and FOMO that's occurring at the moment right now. So I would advise to, take a more of a risk averse approach, and if you got in at the $66, I would just, hold, maybe take 40% profit from here at the $200 mark, right? But if you got out earlier, that's okay. Just give that pat on your shoulder saying that, you took profit, you made gains, and taking profit is never a bad move, right? So with respect to Ethereum, going back to the chart, I've been reading up the news for the last 6 hours so far. I woke up relatively early today because I have a long meeting that I have to prep for today. So with respect to Bitcoin, has come out with a news talk about green solutions to Ethereum's problem with just the mining and the gas fee problem. An Australian startup called ZK2 is changing the blockchain mining games, right? And this is something that they are focusing on cultivating and improving on the lack thereof value proposition that Ethereum is currently cultivating. And I believe the problem, the proposition that this startup ZK2 is launching is called the Mainnet, MAINNET, and they're launching that momentarily, which is good for us, for long-term investors in Ethereum. Another one that's coming from Bazinga about 3 hours ago. This is an exclusive one, exclusive content or article coming from Bazinga. Talk about with respect to Matt Wallace saying that NFT project DogeX will deepen the ties between the relationship, between the two cryptocurrencies, obviously Dogecoin and Ethereum. And this is, one of the reinforcement news that's percolating around, basically the ties between Dogecoin and Ethereum. I know that per the recent media affectation, I would say about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, we know that Vitalik Buterin and also Elon Musk are on the board of the committee for Dogecoin, right? So obviously they try to institutionalize Dogecoin as a formalized entity. So having ties in between the two, knowing the fact the founder Vitalik is on the board as well, wouldn't be surprising to me with respect to the NFT projects that they will be cultivating going forward, right? Another news from Bazinga 4 hours ago, Bazinga has just been killing it today. With respect to Robinhood, which is obviously a fintech app for people to easily trade cryptocurrencies or equity, now lets you make recurring investments in crypto likes Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Ethereum. And I know that Robinhood has a selective list of crypto that they offer. They don't list everything else like Coinbase does. But it's good that they allow for that new feature, right? Recurring investments in crypto. So the next one's on Cointelegraph about 4 hours ago. Talk about Solana. Well, we've seen the surge that we're experiencing so far. Is the Solana rally mimicking Ethereum? And what will be the ideal price target for us to get there? And obviously, this is based on speculations again, right? No one foresee that it will reach this fast of of a pump, mainly driven by obviously whale manipulations and FOMO to get us to be above $200 mark. We were a month ago $60 mark when we were kind of hovering on a sideways fashion, right? And with that catalyst, it subsequently pumped up for us to get above $215 and slowly normalize back down, because this is a more of a flat number. So would this be a correction? I think it's just not really a correction, just people normalizing, try to come back down to earth, knowing the fact that we have such long green candles that we've been enduring so far ever since Monday, right? So the next article coming out from Fortune talk about global share sinks, meme stocks tanks, crypto flatlines as investors takes cover. So this is a news basically talk about some of the macro catalysts that's driving these volatility so far, right? With respect to COVID variants that's been, kind of spiking, in respective countries and selective states in the U.S. right now, and also with respect to the, just based on U.S. macro, the quantitative tapering plan that the Feds will be, configuring going forward, contingent on the job numbers, right? Another catalyst that we need to be aware of is that, with respect to the CPI report that's coming out, I believe, late next week, right? And that will give us a taste on the economical recovery that we are, foreshadowing to be experiencing going forward, and how that would triangulate with obviously the job numbers, and that will have the direct correlations to the tapering plan that the Feds will release for us later in the next FOMC meeting coming up, right? So something that we have to be aware of. So this is just another recap news from Fortune. Another news talk about with respect to one of the major reasons for Bitcoin and Ethereum's sudden decline in price, right? This is an old news. Again, old news. I would say these are old news, because news are never really new. And they're basically regurgitating news that are old news. So it's kind of like using your overnight food and recooking them again, reheating them in the microwave. So this is basically talking about the sector rotations that's cultivating among hedge funds. Obviously, the Taliban news, talk about the COVID variants and driving these volatility, and also touch on a little bit on the technical as well, right? To see, why we sold off and what was the catalyst of driving souls, because of the imbalance in the supply and demand dynamics, right? And then that's pretty much it overall. And then some other regurgitation news on Dogecoin, how that will be correlating with Ethereum going forward. Will Dogecoin be the next Ethereum? Obviously, this is more speculative, non-substantive news again, more trivial side of the world. So going back to the technical analysis, we are, as you can see, we had the mega red candle recently and sold down all the way from the $4,000 mark to the 3,450, which technically is the next level of non-substantive consolidation zone, right? And it seems like we kind of struggling to get above it, because I think public investors believe that this is the dip, right? Which, technically is true. It is the dip, but, the more substantive level would be ideally at the below, right? The $3,000, 2,750, 2,450, right? And what will be the next foreseeable future momentums that we'll be experiencing going forward, right? So it seems like we are in the late complacency stage. In the early stage of, if we take a look at the cheat sheet again, we've been using this cheat sheet quite often. It seems like we sold off, right? So that was the red candle, and then we are kind of hovering on a sideways fashion, right? And that it will not be that obvious, right? It's not just going to sell down all the way in a flat line like a falling off the cliff type of fashion. You will see some oscillation. People are going to think like, oh, we just like trade on a sideways fashion. The dip is just taking longer than expected, right? It's going to come back up because, we believe in the long term, right? But we have to understand that the whales have bought in at the 2,750, 2,450, and technically we're still a little bit above, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if the whales are greedy again and try to jerk us again, right? And it seems like this is mainly based on just the volume, right? It's mainly coming from public investors, not really whales. I don't think the whales are incentivized to buy at these levels at the moment, because they technically still have $1,000 drop in terms of margin that they bought in comparisons to the 2,750, 2,450, right? So with respect to MACD, RSI is still on the kind of mid level. We're not like overbought or oversold either, MACD is we are still in the negative side of the spectrum. We're still crossing down, and I don't see any curvature, at the moment. And correct me if I'm being crazy, but I don't think there's any curvature yet, right? It's gonna take some time, and the main driver is really coming from obviously public investors. So if the history is gonna play out, the next thing you know is gonna be just more like, it's gonna test your patience again. I know this game is kind of frustrating sometimes, right? You're gonna start questioning like, oh, am I getting a margin call? Is this still taking longer than usual? And next thing you know, it's gonna sell off for some reason. It's coming back down to the 3,000, which we saw that foreshadow on the crash or the correction that we saw yesterday or 2 days ago, right? And the next thing you know, it's gonna start denying like, oh no, Ethereum is a great asset. It will come back eventually. Yes, it will come back eventually, but that's when everybody start being freaking out and panic like, oh my god, we need to sell. Everybody's selling. The whales are dumping us, and next thing you know, it's gonna start coming back down, and people are gonna be frustrated. Like, oh my god, I bought in at the 4,000. Why am I holding it right now? It's like trading at like the low 2,000s. Like, what am I doing? Remember in your history, in your past, did it feel something like that? The occurrence, oftentimes it feels like that. That's when you're holding the bags, right? And you're like asking yourself, should I be selling? Is it coming down? We've been talking about this, that the market needs to go through the oscillation, and I think we will eventually get back down to these levels and continue that market cycles for us to get back to the hope, optimism, belief, and euphoria again, right? So with respect to the price target, again, right, 3,000, 2,750, 2,450. But if you bought into the 4,000, just forget about it, right? Just hold, do not sell. I've been getting this question quite often from my friends on YouTube. Is it okay for me to sell now because we're gonna keep seeing a fall? I would say no, just dollar cost average when we go back lower to the levels that we have identified so far, right? We are in the business of risk mitigation. When you're selling on a loss, you're not really doing any favor for yourself, right? Because if you believe in a long-term vision, why would you sell at all? Ask yourself that question. That's not logical at all, right? You're selling because you don't want to lose money. You definitely lose money if you sell on a loss. But if you hold on tight and wait patiently, wait for the market cycle to go through the oscillation, you will not lose money because time will pay off from here. You know what I'm trying to say? So hopefully this is helpful. It's my first video today. Really appreciate you. And feel free to give me a shout if you have any specific questions. I'm going to be in meetings throughout the day, so I'm going to be at home. But I do have like a business meeting later tonight with a senior advisor of mine in my fund. So I'm looking forward to that. Really appreciate you, and stay tuned for this to come up. Take care. Bye.